Hello, everybody. How's it going? We are here to take a look at a new Star Wars game that has been announced. This is a game that we have known that is in development, but we didn't know anything about it until here at Star Wars Celebration. So this is the unveil of a Star Wars Zero Company. So let's jump in and see what this is. Here we go. Whoa, hold on. It's Lucy James.
Hello, Star Wars Celebration! I am Lucy James, and I could not be more honored to be here with you all today because I get the incredible job of presenting a very first look at the brand new Star Wars turn-based tactics game and lead a conversation with the creators at Bit Reactor, Lucasfilm Games, and Respawn Entertainment. Now, I'm not gonna leave you waiting. Let's get that trailer.
That's a Trade Federation control ship in the background there.
When people talk about the Clone Wars, they talk about the big moments, the crisis points, planetary invasions, all-out assaults, cities bombed to rubble. Truth is, there's a war you don't see. Fought in the shadows. The war beneath the war. A war that's won with the right strategy. Surveillance, ciphers, good old-fashioned sabotage. These aren't the heroes they tell stories about. They're professionals.
An interesting ship design.
Setting aside their differences to take on the impossible. But that's the job, and they get it done.
Looks like XCOM to me, which is a good thing. Yeah, there's so many people who have been asking for an XCOM Star Wars game forever. And within XCOM 2, some of the most popular mods...
Did you like the trailer?
...have been the Star Wars mods.
I'm sorry, I said, did you like the trailer?
You're not supposed to be showing us this. Get this off of here.
Well, everyone, I'd love to formally welcome you to the Star Wars Zero Company panel and to talk about this brand new game coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Please let me introduce you to our wonderful panel. We've got Bit Reactor's Greg Furch and Aaron Contreras. Lucasfilm's Orion Kellogg and Kelsey Shaw. Respawn Entertainment's Jim Vasella.
Oh, they're not going to bring out Vince Zampella, Mr. Respawn himself?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Give them all a big round of applause, everyone. This is Creators Behind the Game. Let's go down the line and everyone introduce yourselves and what you do in the game. Greg.
Thanks, Lucy. Before we get started, we have a whole team home working on the game. You think you guys could give them a little shout out, give them a little love? Awesome. All right, thanks, everybody. I'm Greg Furch. I'm the game director at Bit Reactor. I originally pitched this game to Lucasfilm, and my job is to oversee the entire development of Zero Company.
I'm Aaron Contreras, narrative and cinematic director. I lead the team responsible for the game's story, characters, and narrative gameplay systems. This is my third Star Wars project following Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Jim Vasella, a senior producer at Respawn, helping with the full production of the game. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I'm the type of person who camped out for the prequels in high school and college. And as a producer, I've been making strategy games for over 20 years. And so this was a dream project for me when I heard about it, and I jumped at the opportunity to join right at the start.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelsey Sharp. I'm a creative executive at Lucasfilm. I work on anything Star Wars that has a story across our franchise, so not just video games, but books, comics, some animation as well. I'm also part of the team that oversees the lore and continuity of the galaxy far, far away, but luckily that job is pretty easy when I'm working with big fans like Greg, Jim, and Aaron.
And hey, everybody. I'm Orion Kellogg, executive producer with the Lucasfilm Games team, and I look after many of the Star Wars projects that we have in development. For me, Star Wars is all about meaningful choice, so it's about time we have a strategy game, right?
Yes.
Right on. And we're really excited about that.
I feel like I've seen this guy
we're excited
before.
about is the continuity of this team. Kelsey and I have been working with Respawn and Aaron and some other folks in the crowd here for almost 10 years now. And we really hope that that togetherness and continuity shows in Star Wars Zero Company.
Well, what a crew! A round of applause. Well, I mean, let's get things started with, I think, the big burning question that everyone wants to know the answer to. Greg, just what exactly is Zero Company, and how did this game come to be?
Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, Star Wars Zero Company is a single-player turn-based tactics game with an original story set during the Clone Wars. We formed BitReactor back in 2021, and we had this idea that turn-based tactics games are a genre that just has so much room to improve on with like innovation in storytelling and immersion, and really could reach more fans than people really think. So we really went in that direction with it. That's how we've really been focused for the past several years. While that was working, while I started, we've been working a few prototypes, had some concepts for some games. Then went out of nowhere, I got a phone call from Vince Zampella.
Wait, how do you get your number?
Just looked it up.
He has everybody's number.
Just casually getting a call from Vince
Phone books
Zampella.
don't exist anymore, right? Anyway, so now if you don't recognize that name, Vince is the head of Respawn Entertainment and has been behind some of the biggest games in the industry, like the Star Wars Jedi franchise. Vince was asking me for my thoughts on creating a Star Wars game. Now, I've been a Star Wars fan since I saw A New Hope in the theaters when I was 4 years old. So I think you can all imagine like my reaction, right? Lots of excitement followed by lots of anxiety. So we talked about the possibilities of developing a tactics game with the most beloved, most storied franchises in the world. And it's the perfect combination, honestly, one that I couldn't believe had never been done before. So now we fast forward to today. We're working really closely with Respawn, Lucasfilm Games, to leverage their history of making incredible games to make this amazing new Star Wars game. And while we're at it, I can't say enough about our partners here. Like, they've been absolutely the best and super supportive of us. So couldn't ask for a better group.
Well, right back at you, Greg.
Oh.
Like I said before, Lucasfilm Games, we're big strategy game fans here, and it really was about time, right? And with BitReactor, we have a strategy veteran like Greg and a lot of the other team members at BitReactor. They know what they're doing there. They have a lot of other extremely bright, talented devs working there. Hello to all of you watching.
Because BitReactor is former XCOM devs.
And so I think when you combine that, we know they're going to make a great Star Wars game. We know they're going to make a great strategy game, and hopefully together they really innovate the genre. So, Greg, we couldn't be happier to have you in BitReactor.
Or you could say former
like
2K devs.
Star Wars Zero Company.
I love this love. This is so nice.
Much love.
This is
It's all about love.
Well, the trailer has such a different tone and vibe from what we've seen from more modern, recent Star Wars games. Greg, can you talk a little bit about the vision for the game?
Sure. When we set out to develop Zero Company, we wanted to create an experience where the deep history of Star Wars and their galaxy is married with the engaging gameplay of turn-based tactics, of the turn-based tactics genre. in that process, we established 4 design pillars that we hold ourselves to every day. The first is start with Star Wars. It sounds simple, but what that really means to us is we stay true to the franchise. Part of that pillar is working with people that know Star Wars inside and out. So not only does that mean working with Lucasfilm Games, but also people like Aaron, who works at BitReactor now. But Aaron used to work at Respawn, where he helped develop 2 of the most successful Star Wars games ever made in the Jedi series.
Thanks. Yeah, when I joined the project, Greg and the team had already chosen the Clone Wars era, which is just a fantastic setting for a turn-based tactical game.
It's smart.
And I think it's worth noting that we're also
if you get to keep making
alongside
dudes
Gordy
and they keep
Habb,
dying, you need lots of
award-winning
clones.
composer
Yes.
from the Jedi series on our music and soundtrack. And Gordy's going to bring, a new cinematic feel to the tactics genre, and of course, deliver on that authentic Star Wars sound.
So the second pillar that we really follow is meaningful choices, and that's where thoughtful decisions impact the gameplay.
You're going to play as Hawks, who's a customizable hero who leads Zero Company. The decisions you make, what jobs to take, who to assign to your squads, and how you fight on the battlefield will have pivotal consequences in every playthrough of the game.
And the third, and this is one that's very close to me, is we want the game to be cinematic and approachable, something that I've been kind of championing for a long time in my career. And this is where the genre, I think, can really be great. The thing we try to live by is the depth of the game shouldn't really cost you elegance in how the game is presented, right? Like depth and immersion, they're not mutually exclusive things. As players, you should expect both and you should get them. So, you can see in the screenshot, we move the camera around depending on where the gameplay moment is and what we want you to feel as a player. So yeah, and
XCOM did that as well.
When we first started talking about this game, I think
XCOM, whenever there was like a crit,
one of the very first Zoom calls
it would
we
then
had
do
with
different
Orion,
camera things.
I was describing,
wonder if that's what they're
how we
talking
really
about.
wanted to change this perspective, and I described it to him, and he summed it up. So I'm kind of borrowing from him. He said that depth shouldn't cost you elegance, and it's really something that's stuck with me. And all these years later, something that we really, really try to follow.
We just want great games.
Yeah, man.
Here, here.
The fourth is strategy and combat. And what that really means is think high-stakes battles with deep gameplay choices where we're delivering on both the tactical and the strategic layers as one cohesive experience. It's not just something that players experience in 2 separate halves. It's something that's woven together through the gameplay along with the narrative. So all this together, and if we've done it right, and I think we have, it results in a core loop of gameplay that's got thoughtful pacing and decision-making coupled with an amazing original Star Wars story.
Amazing. And all of this is so important because getting that Star Wars feeling is so important to get right. Orion, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Like, what were you thinking? What was going through your head when you saw the pitch for Zero Company? Was it an email? Was it a PowerPoint presentation?
I think we probably started on a Zoom, like most things these days, right? So we started on a call, and I knew we had Respawn, we had BitReactor, and with Respawn, we've been telling stories with them for over a decade. I already talked about that. We were excited. We hope you're excited for another Respawn story, right? And with BitReactor, we knew their legacy. We were fans of the games that they have made, absolutely, and we knew what they were capable of doing, and so I was like, okay, let's do this. I'm stoked, absolutely stoked. I think that's the precise term. And so making a strategy game in Star Wars, what do we have to do? What's our role in this? Well, let's give them a place where they can make meaningful decisions in the galaxy. Let's find a spot where they can make the best game possible, and hopefully we've done that.
And let's dive into the setting, because the game is set in the Clone Wars era. Kelsey, Aaron, can you tell me a little bit about why this setting is so perfect for a game like Zero Company?
Definitely. So the Clone Wars are kind of a unique part of our timeline, right? Because when you look at the stories that we tell in the Age of Rebellion or the Age of Resistance, they tend to feature almost exclusively asymmetrical warfare, right? It's like a little guy going up against insurmountable odds. But the Clone Wars are uniquely perfect for Zero Company because it's when we see 2 relatively evenly matched forces, the Republic and the Separatists. And that backdrop creates so many interesting places for Aaron and his team to set their camera for their story, right? Because we know know the conflict is unfolding across multiple planets, across the galaxy. There are multiple different forces and factions, some of which have conflicting allegiances that shift over time. There are, boots on the ground altercations, but there's also smaller strategic initiatives, and it's those kinds of clandestine missions.
By the way,
where
I'm trying to look it up here real quick. I'm pretty sure this is their first game.
Is working on really gets to
and
shine.
That other guy was
that's
talking.
Why I'm so excited. Why
he was
everyone
saying
at
like,
Lucasfilm
they've
is so
made games
excited for
before,
Zero
but
Company,
I'm
because
pretty sure this is
if
their
you've watched
first
the
game.
Clone Wars, and I have a feeling some of you in this
I think
audience have.
he's talking about when they were working
know
for
that,
like 2K
we have
or
never
for
shied
Access,
away from
but
showing
he doesn't want to
how
mention them.
complicated that conflict was, all the shades of gray. But I really think Zero Company is going to be one of the first times that players actually get to go hands-on with that, like the war beneath the war that was mentioned in the trailer.
Yeah, we're inspired by the political intrigue of Andor, the gritty battlefield perspective of Rogue One, and of course the mythic pulp adventure of the original trilogy. We love how all of those stories respect the intelligence and attention of the Star Wars audience, and we aim to do the same. None of the characters in Zero Company are flawless or immune to a fatal case of blaster poisoning. You'll have to lead your team with care and conviction, and at times make difficult decisions with permanent consequences.
Ooh, well, I'm dying to hear more. I'm dying to hear more about the story. Aaron, what can you tell us about the story and who we're going to play as?
Yeah, you're going to play as Hawks. They're a disgraced former Republic officer who now leads Zero Company. They're an elite outfit for hire, specializing in strategic investigations and high-risk tactical missions. The operators under Hawks' command are a ragtag band of hero, outlaws, and exiles from all walks of life. You'll have to unite them against an emerging threat that, if left unchecked, will spread across the galaxy and consume everything in its path. Ooh. Set against the epic backdrop of the Clone Wars, you must lead Zero Company in a shadow war against a corrupting force that no conventional army is equipped to counter.
Yeah, if there's one thing we know from Star Wars, it's that those who seek power and control will also seek opportunities and opportunistic allies. And the face that they wear when we first meet them might look very different from the face that they wear by the end of the story. And it's those kinds of questions, like the big questions: who are my true allies? Who are my true adversaries? What do my adversaries actually want? That we think the players and Zero Company are going to be chasing down answers to together.
Yep, but Hawks can't find those answers alone, and that's where your team comes in. You'll build your squad from a mix of custom characters you create and original Star Wars characters authored for the game, and all of them will have a story that evolves as you play through the game.
Ooh, well, it sounds like we're going to have plenty of options to build our very own version of Zero Company. We got a little bit of a tease of some of the members of the squad. Can you and Kelsey maybe tell us more about them?
Heck yeah. So this is Trick. He's a clone soldier whose laconic wit masks a haunted heart. Trick has been with Hawks since they both served in the Republic military and was injured in the same disaster that cost Hawks their career.
Yeah, it's not a Clone Wars era story without a clone character's perspective. And as our Celebration audience knows, the clones might all look alike, but each one has their own personality. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun getting to know Trick because, as Aaron alluded to earlier, the members of Zero Company can be drawn from all around the galaxy, and that includes from across battle lines. So one particularly incendiary member is Luco Bronk. He is an Umbaran sharpshooter who still hasn't forgiven the Republic for invading his homeworld, but that shadowy adversary that we alluded to earlier is going to be such an intimidating threat that we'll actually see a Republic clone trooper like Trick and a separatist Umbaran soldier like Luco teaming up on the same side.
But if left unchecked, those divisions on the squad could escalate into conflict or worse. Next up, we've got Clive Calervo. They're an infamous Mandalorian gunslinger and one of the last surviving members of the ancient clan Verminoth. She joined Zero Company because she sees him as the most direct route to completing a very personal vendetta.
I love that design. I want to join Clan Verminoth. And something tells me that if this audience is excited for a Mandalorian, you might be excited for a Jedi too. So in this case, it's our Padawan, Telria. Telria is on a quest to finish her fallen Jedi Master's final mission. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Tel's character design was actually one of the first pieces of character concept art that we saw from Star Wars Zero Company, and she hasn't really changed very much since that very first submission. Of course, I love all Star Wars aliens equally, but why a Tognath for Tel?
Why not Tognath, Kelsey? I don't know. It's always fun to see a different alien species as a Jedi and explore their unique perspective on the Force.
Awesome. Yeah, my
definitely a species that we've
one of my
not
roles
seen
at Lucasfilm is working on our
very
lore and
often.
continuity team, and so I'm always
Everybody
excited
thinks
to see
of,
a
like,
character
Saw
like
Gerrera's
Tell, because
buddy.
if you're familiar with the species of Tognath, really the most known Tognath character that we have from the brand is Two Tubes from Rogue One and from Andor. Yeah, woo, Two Tubes. But obviously, like, he and his brother represent a very particular hardline perspective on the galaxy because they're part of Saw's partisans. And so I love to see a character like Tell, right, who was raised by the Jedi, who probably has a very different perspective on the galaxy. I mean, spoiler alert, she does. Because one of my favorite things is getting to remember that in Star Wars, it's not just the humans who are the characters, it's the aliens as well.
And she has 2 lightsabers. That's pretty cool.
She also has 2 lightsabers.
You noticed that.
So these are 4 of the operators you can recruit into Zero Company over the course of the story, and we'll have more to reveal as time goes on. But you're always free to create, recruit, and deploy a full squad of entirely custom heroes if you want to.
Well, I mean, Hawks in the trailer says, and I'm gonna murder this voice, I'm sorry, they're professionals. Setting aside their differences
I wonder
to
if
take on
they'll
the
actually go
impossible.
deep
I'm
enough
not
to where
available
those
for
named
voice work,
characters can die.
Don't even try. But that, to me, sounds like maybe they're not the best of friends.
You are exactly right, Lucy. Not everyone in Zero Company sees eye to eye, but the more they work together and face adversity, the deeper their bonds grow and the stronger your team becomes. You'll see that reflected across both story and gameplay.
Well, you mentioned gameplay there, but before we dive a little bit deeper into that, I do want to come back to something I heard Aaron mention a couple times. Greg, did he say customization in a Star Wars game?
He definitely did. So you can personalize the appearance and voice and class of Hawks. So as you can see, you know, this is a hallmark feature from the best tactics games, and we're ecstatic to see what Star Wars fans make with it. You can play as any combination of Hawks that you want, and it's just super powerful. So we're providing players with this deep customization system that extends to individual characters you can create and recruit in Zero Company as well. So you'll choose from a variety of archetypes, select their species, range of authentic Star Wars options like custom astromechs, Rhodians, humans, and fully customize their appearance and outfits. You can even rename them to your liking.
What if I wanted to go all astromech?
Well,
D-Squad.
you can actually do that.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy.
I love that murderer's row of astromechs.
Where's the chopper
and I
model?
also love what you were saying about customization, Greg, because we
just
had
want a
so many
squad of
conversations
choppers.
during production about how, as fans of this genre, you really want to feel like, well, these are my characters. This is my Zero Company, and the choices that I make in gameplay mean I'm going to have a different playthrough from the game playthrough that you're going to have because of your choices. But at the same time, as Star Wars fans, we're always kind of wondering, like, well, how does this impact the larger story? Do my choices really matter? And I think you and the team at BitReactor have done such a good job at really threading that needle so that every player is going to understand how their Hawks and their Zero Company are impacting the larger Star Wars timeline.
Yeah, for sure. We can tell they are really happy with being able to customize their character, customize their squad. We know at Lucasfilm Games that you've been wanting to do that, and we're really happy to let you step into the galaxy with your team. And we're also really happy to see how you're going to combine your creations with our creations and the authored characters. Not only is it going to impact the story, but it's also going to impact the gameplay. Yes, there are ramifications for rolling deep with astromechs, but I think impacting gameplay, pretty awesome too.
I mean, let's jump into talking about gameplay. Greg, what can you tell us about what we'll
It's going to
be
be a
doing
lot of
when
fun
we're
making
playing
you
as
guys
Hawks
in this game.
So as Aaron mentioned, this is a story about an emerging new threat, and Zero Company will have to do to stop it. Choosing your best squad for each mission is key because the stakes are just so high.
I mean, so high, in fact, that even permadeath and the limited ability to save your game are available on certain difficulty settings. Now, that being said, if you are first and foremost a Star Wars fan, and if you are maybe a newcomer to the strategy genre or the tactics genre, we'll have difficulty settings so that you can also enjoy the story and get through the game. But no matter what difficulty you choose to play on, you'll have the most fun by creating a versatile strategy and utilizing all the variety of weapons and abilities and more to be successful.
So that means my Tell can live forever, right?
The Clone Wars is a dangerous time for Some Jedi.
All right. So in between adventuring across the galaxy to embark on these missions, you'll return to Zero Company's base of operations, a place we call the Den, which is located on the ring of Kafrene, which you may remember from Rogue One.
Yeah, and here you'll be able to socialize and catch up with your team, as well as recruit, customize, and outfit all those new operators. And throughout the game, you'll be able to upgrade this space to really fit the needs of your playstyle for Zero Company. The Den also has this incredible galaxy map where you'll get to choose what strategic tasks and tactical missions to go on next. Players are going to always balance risk and reward to stay ahead of their adversaries and gaining a leg up in the next fight. As you all well know, the galaxy is always shifting and changing as the Clone Wars progresses, and so you as a player will have to be adapting your strategy as well.
Well, Orion, can you elaborate a little bit on how this game fits into the overall Star Wars galaxy?
Well, yeah, like I said before, our job at Lucasfilm was to give BitReactor this huge playground to play in. And, as Kelsey was talking, the Clone Wars, huge campaign, so many things going on, really an infinite platform for all the stories the player can wrap their arms around. So in the Den, when you're interacting with the galaxy map, on scale alone, you're dealing with the biggest and most immersive map we've ever put out in a game. So while it's early in development, we did want to give you a sneak peek at the place where you're going to see how your choices impact the galaxy.
Really nice.
And we think that doing that in this time frame with this squad is going to really stand out and make Zero Company really special.
I mean, that's right, Orion.
Very
this is going to provide us some
Helldivers.
exciting innovation
It's like,
opportunity
all right,
for
let's
the
go to
genre
this planet,
with
or let's go to
how
this
you can
sector, let's go to this
influence
planet.
your journey through the story.
And then you launch
and
your mission.
alongside interacting with the map at this broader level, a selection of these planets will also be viable for the tactical missions you go on, allowing players to deep dive into richly detailed, authentic Star Wars battle locations, both new and familiar. And Orion, say, might be infiltrating a separatist base on one planet, while Kelsey might be raiding a pirate outpost on another. And these are a few examples of the types of missions and locations you have to go on throughout the Star Wars journey.
Jim, I think in one of the first in-person conversations we ever had, which was, I believe, at a restaurant in San Francisco during GDC.
He was wearing a bib.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe some cioppino was being eaten at the time. But you mentioned how, as a fan and a producer, you were so excited and geeked out about translating our very expansive galaxy map into this really cool, immersive, and interactive feature. And I think well, first of all, I just think you're all going to have so much fun, going through the interactive map, seeing all the planets that you recognize. But that level of fidelity also means that you're going to get to have some really fun gameplay on planets that you might recognize from some of our other storytelling. So, Greg mentioned earlier that the Den is based on the Ring of Kafrene from Rogue One, and you might have heard it shouted out in a certain episode of Andor Season 2 if you happened to be in that panel earlier today. Woo! And then I'm excited to confirm that the planet that you saw the heroes disembarking on at the end of that trailer is Seralonis. So Seralonis was originally developed for the Clone Wars and then first seen on screen for the first time in Bad Batch Season 2. And you'll get to go to some other, cool deep cuts and Easter egg type planets as well. Snowy Bandor from Solo, as well as a newer planet, Mapuzo from the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
And more.
Many more.
Is that an Axis?
It looks like it. Wink.
You teasers. You absolute teasers. Jim, earlier you mentioned that you could socialize with your squad mates. I'm dying to see the Zero Company group chat, but I really want to know how those social dynamics come into play when you get to the gameplay.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, every decision matters for you and Zero Company, from the next mission that you choose to go on, but more specifically, what squad members you choose to send on each one of those missions. An important factor in the dynamics of those choices and their consequences is how the squad members will bond together over time, where you can turn
just give me 10 minutes
enemies
of
and
that.
rivals into trusted allies. So, for example, as Aaron and Kelsey were mentioning earlier, Trick, our clone trooper, and Luco, our Mbaran, don't exactly seem to get along. But if you choose to invest in that partnership by sending them on missions together, they may be able to improve that bond over time, and that could ultimately decide their fate in the game.
Yeah, this is, when I was talking about Found Family earlier, this is really where that comes into play and impacts the gameplay. I think it's the kind of thing, these battles forged on the battlefield evolving is the kind of thing that means no two playthroughs are alike, and I think that's going to make everything really special.
Yeah, and additionally, it's really important to emphasize that this bond system applies to both the authored characters, as you saw in the trailer, but also all of the custom characters that you create yourself. So as all of these characters grow more experience as they go on battles together, you know, they're going to unlock new combat synergies, such as say, teamwork reaction shots. And this has been one of the real treats working with Greg and the team at BitReactor, is that they're bringing their expert experience in making strategy games to Star Wars Zero Company, and we've seen this manifest in the gameplay with features like this.
No, couldn't agree more. I mean, pillar number one was start with Star Wars, right? And I think when you plant those seeds early, as the game starts to develop and the abilities and characters start to get fleshed out, you see the Star Wars emerge. So you might be playing a tense mission where one of your characters is about to permanently die, and one of your astromech buddies might roll in and be able to toss them a healing stim, and that's a very Star Wars moment. Or you might be rolling with, I'm sure Kelsey will be rolling with Tal, and Tal will be able to use the Force and push somebody out of cover so that a sniper can take them down. And it's those kind of moments that just emerge as you're playing that make it not only a really deep strategic gameplay experience, which is really, really, really important, but also feel like one that could only happen in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving hearing you all talk about this game. It sounds like it has definitely been designed with the Star Wars galaxy in mind and all of the fun that that unlocks for all of us players. Very excited to get my hands on it. What do you reckon? Do you have any other little reveals or hints you want to give this wonderful celebration crowd?
Maybe.
Maybe? You're going to make them work for it?
I mean, that's why we're here in Japan, right? Yeah. Yeah, and Star Wars ships and droids are built to last and almost always bring this strong sense of history and personality with them. And Zero Company, of course, like everyone, needs a ride to get from the den to their missions. So I'm truly excited to say we've created our own new starship for Star Wars Galaxy. This starship is a great example of the production and care that the team has put into every environment, every detail, every character, their personalities all the way down. So lots of attention to the detail in there. So we really do view this ship as a character, right, when we're making it. So it's built with the idea that we want to have a personality, and we want to think that it's got, if it's really well in the Star Wars universe with all those iconic ships. So this is the Kson.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the BitReactor art department quickly, because obviously there's always iteration when you're designing something new for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like they, woo, art departments everywhere. But I feel like they really got sort of the heart of Star Wars design very quickly. And one of my favorite parts of my job is getting to open up an email or a new Jira ticket and say like, oh wow, amazing art for me to look at.
It's an awesome experience, because like you know, you go from being fans, right, and we're all fans, to then being students for several years of it and really diving deep into it. And you guys make it easy. You know, you guys keep us on track and give us some great information as we're studying the lore and really getting into the Star Wars of it.
And clearly every ship needs a go-to pilot. Could you give us a little bit of an insight on how you landed on a droid to pilot the Kson?
So while we're at it.
I like him.
I mean, you're making a ship, right? You may as well make a droid. So yeah, when we thought about, you know, the ship, we were thinking, well, who's going to drive it? So we realized we had an opportunity now to not only just make a ship, but now we can make a droid too. So how often does that happen, right? 4-year-old me was cheering. So you know, we got to create our own ship, and the droid that lives in Star Wars gameplay forever. So we knew the ship had to be versatile to accommodate all the different missions that it could be taking Zero Company on. Of course, we wanted our pilot droid to have a really unique personality too. So after, you know, lots of conversations between our team and the teams at Lucasfilm, and just maybe a couple iterations, we came up with the Caisson, and it's a pilot, Mevo, who will be joining Zero Company on this journey through the galaxy.
That's M3VO, Mevo.
So cute. Who doesn't love a new droid to fall in love with? No.
Chat, that droid's going to be dead by the end of the game.
Up here, folks. But do we have any last words to say from the group?
Sure. If you couldn't tell by now, hopefully you can see how passionate we all are when it comes to Star Wars and Zero Company. We can't wait for players to experience our authentic Star Wars story through every aspect of the game, from choice and consequence to customization, down to the course of tactics and strategy. This game genre in general just blends so nicely with the galaxy, and we really just can't believe nobody's done it before.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun collaborating with the teams at BitReactor, Respawn, and Lucasfilm. I am incredibly proud of the fantastic writers, designers, and cinematic artists on my team, and we hope all of you enjoy playing Zero Company's story as much as we did making it.
Right, and you know, Star Wars at its core, it's all about characters, right? And as we keep coming up with new gameplay scenarios and new stories to tell, there are going to be all sorts of opportunities for surprises that we'll announce in the future. But we can't wait to hear what you all speculate, who we might run into in this game.
Yeah, so as you can tell, we're just getting started talking about Star Wars Zero Company, and we are excited to share more of what we're building when we're ready very soon. So, and Star Wars Zero Company is releasing on into 2026. Wow, it's coming close. On PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S.
Amazing. Well, you heard it here first, folks. A new Star Wars turn-based tactics game is launching next year. Can you believe it? A couple of final things before we go. We are doing giveaways of this wonderful announcement poster here at Celebration. So don't forget to claim one in Hall 7. There are limited availability, so get one before they are gone.
It's always one of those things to be cool to get a poster and have all the devs sign it.
Thank you to our wonderful panelists. Give them a big round of applause.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, thanks,
Yes,
Lucy.
and thank you to everyone out there in the crowd. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, everyone. How's about we roll that trailer one more time?
Let's roll it.
No, this game looks great. This is like a dream game for me. So far, everything they've said is exactly what I want. I need more info. I need more details, you know? If they actually allow you to kill off all the companions,
People talk about the Clone
that'd be
Wars.
crazy.
They talk about the big moments.
Because they
The
did mention
crisis
permadeath,
points.
so it is possible, but we just don't
Planetary
know
invasions.
if that's custom
All-out
only.
assault. Cities bombed to rubble. Truth is, there's a war you don't see. The one fought in the shadows. The war beneath the war. A war that's won with the right strategy. Surveillance, ciphers, good old-fashioned sabotage. These aren't the heroes they tell stories about. They're professionals.
I wonder how many different species they're going to have for customization.
Setting aside their differences to take on the impossible. But that's the job, and they get it done.
cool. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't forget to grab your posters in Hall 7. Thank you so much.
Give it up one more time for these.
Yeah, hopefully we see more of that at Summer Game Fest in June. Don't know if it'll show up at the Keighley show or maybe the Xbox conference or where. So we'll have to see. I don't have too much more to say about that. Like I said, it looks great to me. It's like a dream game. I think ever since XCOM 2, everybody's like, man, it'd be cool if we had a Star Wars version of XCOM 2. And it looks like that's what we're getting. So it's like XCOM 3 Star Wars, kind of. So, no, really cool stuff. Here real quick, for those who are watching on YouTube, we'll wrap up the video right there. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.